Japan might be Asia's greatest World Cup team ever. For decades, Asian football has been searching for a team capable of competing with the world's elite on the biggest stage. Many nations have produced talented generations. South Korea reached a historic World Cup semi-final in 2002. Saudi Arabia created one of the greatest upsets in football history by defeating Argentina in 2022. Australia has consistently challenged stronger opponents, yet despite those achievements, one nation has quietly built something far more impressive. That nation is Japan. The question may sound controversial, but after everything we have witnessed in recent years, it deserves to be asked. Is Japan becoming the greatest World Cup team Asia has ever produced? The answer is no longer as simple as it once was. For years, Japan was respected as a technically gifted side. They were known for discipline, organization, and intelligent football. Opponents understood that Japan would be difficult to break down. However, they were rarely viewed as genuine threats against the strongest nations. That perception has changed dramatically. Modern Japan is no longer satisfied with simply participating in World Cups. They arrive expecting to compete. And that difference in mentality changes everything. The current Japanese squad represents years of planning and development. Unlike many national teams that depend heavily on a few stars, Japan has built a complete football structure. Their players compete in some of Europe's toughest leagues. They understand high-pressure environments. They possess technical quality, tactical intelligence, and the physical ability to compete for 90 minutes against any opponent. Most importantly, they believe they belong. That confidence has become one of Japan's greatest weapons. The opening match of this World Cup provided the first major test. Standing across from them was the Netherlands, one of Europe's traditional football powers. On paper, many expected the Dutch side to control the game. They possessed experience, physical strength, and world-class talent. Yet Japan never looked intimidated. From the opening whistle, they played with courage. They attacked. They pressed. They moved the ball with confidence. Instead of defending deep and hoping for opportunities, Japan challenged the Netherlands directly. The result was a dramatic 2-2 draw. Some teams would celebrate a draw against a European giant. Japan treated it as proof that they could compete, proof that they belonged, proof that their ambitions were justified. What impressed observers most was not the scoreline itself. It was the performance. Japan looked comfortable, they looked organized, they looked dangerous. At no point did they appear overwhelmed by the occasion. That is the mark of a serious team. Then came the second challenge, Tunisia. While some supporters expected a difficult encounter, Japan produced one of the most complete performances of the tournament. The final score read 4-0, but the score only told part of the story. Japan dominated almost every area of the match. Their passing was sharper, their movement was quicker, their decision-making was superior, every attack carried purpose, every defensive action showed discipline, every player understood their role. This was not simply a victory, it was a statement directed at the rest of the football world. For years, people have asked when an Asian team would finally break through and establish itself among football's elite nations. Japan appears determined to provide that answer. One of the biggest reasons behind their success is the balance within the squad. Many national teams rely heavily on individual brilliance. Japan relies on collective excellence. When one player advances, another covers. When one player presses, the rest follow. When possession is lost, the entire team reacts instantly. This level of organization cannot be created overnight. It requires years of development, years of coaching, years of commitment to a football philosophy. Japan has invested those years, and now the results are becoming impossible to ignore. Another factor separating Japan from previous Asian teams is their consistency. Throughout football history, many nations have produced one exceptional tournament. The challenge is repeating that success. Japan continues to perform on the biggest stages. Every World Cup seems to bring another memorable result, another fearless performance, another reminder that they are no longer outsiders. They are contenders. Perhaps not tournament favorites, but contenders. And there is an important difference. Favorites carry expectations. Contenders create surprises. Japan has become extremely dangerous because they combine both qualities. They possess enough talent to challenge elite opponents, yet many rivals still underestimate them. That combination can be devastating. The leadership within the squad has also played a crucial role. Captain Wataru Endo embodies everything Japan wants to represent: discipline, determination, professionalism. He leads through actions rather than words. His influence extends far beyond individual performances. He sets standards, and successful teams are built upon standards. The best national teams in football history have always possessed leaders capable of holding the squad together during difficult moments. Japan appears to have found exactly that. The result is a team that remains calm under pressure, a team that trusts its system, a team that refuses to panic. Those qualities become incredibly valuable during knockout football because knockout football is often decided by mentality rather than talent. And right now, Japan's mentality looks stronger than ever. The rest of the tournament may ultimately determine how far this team can go. But one thing is already becoming clear: Japan is no longer fighting for respect. They have earned respect. Now they are fighting for something much bigger: history. History is what separates good teams from legendary teams, and that is exactly where Japan finds itself today. The victories are impressive, the performances are impressive, the consistency is impressive, but if Japan truly wants to become Asia's greatest World Cup team ever, they must accomplish something no Asian nation has managed before. They must go deeper into the tournament than anyone expects. That is the next challenge, because group stage success earns attention. Knockout stage success creates history. The reality is that the competition becomes much harder from this point forward. Every remaining opponent will possess quality. Every match will feel like a final. Every mistake could end a dream. Yet there is a reason Japan supporters feel more optimistic than ever. This team appears built for exactly these situations. Their greatest strength may not be their attack. It may not be their defense. It may be their adaptability. Modern football rewards teams capable of changing styles depending on the opponent. Against stronger teams, Japan can remain compact and strike on the counter-attack. Against weaker teams, they can dominate possession and create chances. Against physical opponents, they can rely on movement and intelligence. Against technical opponents, they can match quality with quality. That versatility makes them extremely difficult to prepare for. Opponents cannot focus on stopping one star player. They cannot focus on one tactical system. They cannot focus on one specific threat. Japan can hurt teams in multiple ways. That unpredictability becomes incredibly dangerous during World Cups. Just ask the teams that underestimated them in previous tournaments. Football history is filled with nations that ignored warning signs, nations that believed reputation alone would guarantee victory, nations that assumed smaller football countries would eventually disappear under pressure. Japan has spent years proving those assumptions wrong. The difference now is that they are no longer producing occasional surprises. They are producing expectations, and expectations reveal how far a team has truly come. A decade ago, a draw against the Netherlands might have been celebrated as a miracle. Today, many Japanese supporters believe their team could have won. That change in thinking says everything. It shows how dramatically standards have evolved. It shows how much confidence has grown. Most importantly, it shows how seriously this team takes itself. Great teams expect success. Japan is beginning to think like a great team. Of course, questions still remain. Can they maintain this level against the world's absolute best? Can they handle the pressure of a knockout match? Can they overcome moments of adversity when things do not go according to plan? Those questions can only be answered on the pitch. But based on what we have already seen, there is every reason to believe Japan is capable of passing those tests. The squad possesses experience. The squad possesses leadership. The squad possesses tactical discipline. And unlike many teams, they possess a clear identity. They know exactly how they want to play. That clarity often becomes the difference between success and failure. When pressure increases, uncertainty destroys teams. Japan looks anything but uncertain. Every player appears committed to the same vision. Every player understands the mission, and that mission extends beyond this tournament. Because Japan is not simply trying to win football matches, they are trying to change perceptions. For decades, Asian football has fought against stereotypes. Many people viewed Asian teams as technically skilled but physically limited, disciplined but lacking elite quality, competitive but unable to challenge for major honors. Japan has spent years dismantling those stereotypes. Now they have an opportunity to destroy them completely. Imagine what a deep World Cup run would mean. Imagine reaching a quarterfinal. Imagine reaching a semi-final. Imagine becoming the first Asian nation to genuinely challenge for football's greatest prize. The impact would extend far beyond Japan itself. It would inspire an entire continent. It would prove that Asian football belongs among the world's elite. And perhaps that is why this Japanese team feels so important. They represent more than a single nation. They represent possibility. The possibility that decades of development can finally produce something extraordinary. The possibility that discipline, patience, and long-term planning can compete with traditional football powers. The possibility that history can be rewritten. Whether Japan ultimately wins this World Cup remains unknown. Whether they reach the semi-finals remains unknown. Whether they lift the trophy remains unknown. But one thing is becoming increasingly difficult to deny. This generation has already placed itself among the greatest teams Asian football has ever produced. They have earned admiration, they have earned respect, and they have earned belief. Now comes the hardest part, turning belief into history. If they succeed, future generations may look back on this World Cup as the moment everything changed. The moment Japan stopped being viewed as Asia's best hope and started being viewed as Asia's greatest World Cup team ever.